Hello everyone, my name is Demi. I'm a Cambridge certified English teacher and a teacher trainer. In these sessions, I share with you some useful tips and tricks how to prepare for Delta Module 1, 2 and 3 successfully and what to do in order to make your preparation a better experience. In order to do Delta Module 1, Paper 1, Task 5, you need to have good command of systems and skills. So that's something what we are about to do today. We will discover the example and I will share with you some useful tips on how to approach this preparation in the right way. We'll have a look at the model answer and we'll see what you should write there and what should be omitted. First things first, we need to understand what Paper 1 Task 5 stands for. So Task 5 of Paper 1 tests your awareness of the language systems, discourse, grammar, lexis and phonology. It carries 50 marks, so it's a major component of the paper and worth spending time on. First of all, the first part of the task asks you to look at the text as a representative of a particular genre and identify specific features of the genre. The rest of the paper asks you to analyze specific words or phrases as they are used in the text. There are 3 sections, each focusing on a different language item or area, and you will be asked to analyze them from the point of view of any of the following: form, meaning, use, pronunciation, and problems they may cause for the learners. And now let's have a look at the example task. As far as you can see, we have the text, which is located over here. I will come back to this text a little bit later because we are going to work with it. Let's have a look at the task. So we have 4 parts: A, B, C and D. In A, you're expected to identify 5 features of the text that are characteristics of the genre. Give one example of each feature you identify. And you can't include features of layout in this particular context. Let's do one task after another. All right, let's think. Before we deep dive into the example answer, let's think together. Which features of the text, which features of the genre can you see here? Any ideas? I would definitely suggest putting pen to paper and try to write it at the same time as we discuss this task together. So first of all, pay attention to the content. What type of content can you see? Probably you can see that this is the book title that is mentioned, the photographs. Then we can see the price of the book and information about the author. We can also see some summary, and in the summary there is the key content which is in the book. If we have a look at the organization, we can see that the info of the book is on the front of the book and the information on the author is on the back side with the picture. So these are the things that we can easily notice. Then if we deep dive into the content, we can see that there are some grammatical and lexical features. So let's try and analyze some particular features of grammar and lexis related to this genre. As for grammatical and lexical features, we can easily notice the following. Lexical density. We can see relatively long sentences which are compound and complex. That's something what we need to consider. Then we can see that there are some extreme and positive adjectives in the text as stunning or award-winning. We can also notice lexis about writing. For instance, it may be the author, the book. These are the words that are the examples of this particular feature. If we have a look at the tenses which are used here, we can easily notice the use of present simple to overview the book. And that's also one of the features of this genre. All right, I think that you're curious how it might look like in the exam and what you're expected to write. So let's have a look at the way it might be written and what you need to include into your answer when you approach Paper 1, Task 5, A. Alright, so let's have a look at how it might look like in your booklet answer. First of all, we comment on the content. Here we can see that book title is in italics, Price of the book is also mentioned on the top. The content explains the photos on the book covers. We can easily notice that information on the book is on front side and also on the back side, which is quite common for the cover and the front side of the book. Then, description of the book moves from overview to detail. If we have a look at grammatical and lexical features, we can easily notice the following ones. So first of all, lexical density, compound and complex sentences, and you can see here a couple of examples. Sometimes humorous, sometimes terrifying, always vividly compelling, and so on and so forth. So this is something what you need to keep in mind, and the examples should be provided. Another feature is extreme adjectives and positive adjectives. You can see here some words like stunning, terrifying, iconic, unique. So in this text we have noticed at least 4. And finally, you can see here the use of present simple for overview of the book or other appropriate example. Now let's have a look at task 5B. What we can comment on it. Before I show you the example answer, let's first do it together and let's summarize the ideas that we have on it, what you can comment on, and don't worry, you have enough knowledge to comment on many different features regarding form and pronunciation problems. Let's have a look at the first adjective, stunning. It was created from the verb with the suffix ing. The verb is stun, to stun. There is something happening with the final consonant, and in more details we can see the doubled consonant because there is this single consonant that follows the single vowel, and we can mention it as well. Now let's have a look at earlier. We can easily notice that this is the comparative form of the adjective early. We can see that we added suffix er to early and y changed into I. That's what we can notice easily. Let's go to revolutionary. It was created with the help of a countable noun, revolution, and suffix -ary. Suffix -ary can be used as noun suffix. And finally, recognizable. Recognizable was created with the help of the verb and the suffix able. And finally, we can also notice the drop of final E, which is also important to mention. And now let's have a look at possible problems with pronunciation. Some students can encounter some problems while pronouncing stunning. Some people can have problems with vowel sounds, and instead of a sound, they can use u sound. Then we have earlier here, we can comment on rhotic, non-rhotic r, and students may also have some difficulties pronouncing it. Then, if we have a look at revolutionary, we can easily see that students may encounter problems with the suffix pronunciation. So we can see here the vowel elision, and as a matter of fact, we don't pronounce a as a sound, but some students may encounter some problems and they can pronounce it incorrectly, revolutionary, instead of revolutionary. So here we can see elision, revolutionary, revolutionary, the vowel elision. And let's have a look at recognizable. In this case, we can see that students may have some problems pronouncing it with the right stress, because when we come back to the verb, we can see that stress goes to the first syllable, recognize. So we can notice that there is some change in stress and students might encounter some problems. All right, let's have a look at the example answer and what you are expected to write in your booklet. First of all, form of each adjective. You can see that stunning in line 3 is a verb with ing or present participle. Final consonant doubled because single consonant follows single vowel. CVC. Earlier, comparative, adjective plus er. Y changes to I. Tendency for two-syllable adjectives to form the comparative by adding er. Revolutionary. Countable noun with suffix -ary. -ary can be used as noun suffix, a visionary, a revolutionary. So here we can see some form features. Recognizable from line 54. Verb plus suffix able. Use of Z in American publication and as in British publication. Final E dropped because tendency is if stem word ends in an E and suffix begins with a vowel, final E is dropped, as we can see in this adjective. And finally, we can see some problems with the pronunciation of the adjectives. So let's have a look at what can be written here. Vowel sound monophthong a, stunning. Consonant sound l and r, earlier, revolutionary, can be problematic for some students. Vowel elision a in revolutionary, and we need to depict it using the phonemic chart. Weak forms or schwa, like revolutionary, revolutionary, earlier, recognizable. We can see that in 3 words, schwa takes place. When only you see that in the task you're expected to comment on the pronunciation, pay attention to schwa sounds. They will definitely appear there because, as you know, schwa is one of the most popular sounds and is used almost in every single English word. And as a matter of fact, you need to comment on this as well. Weak forms schwa, consonant clusters like st in stunning, gn in recognizable. As for the word stress, learners don't know where to place, for example, revolutionary, recognizable, or word stress changes from stem word, as we mentioned previously, for example, recognize to recognizable. Sound spelling relationship, suffix tion will be shn and ear will be So in this case, we can see that spelling relationship can be a challenge. All right, we are ready with A and B, and now it's time to go to part C. Let's deep dive into this task and see what we need to do there. Now let's have a look at activity C. As we can see over here, we need to comment on the use of the articles in the following excerpts from the text. Trust me, you know a lot and you can comment on it a lot. First, let's think together what kind of articles they are. Remember what you usually tell your students when you explain the topic of the articles, definite and indefinite ones, and I think that this knowledge might be of good hand here. So let's see. The images. Even without any prep, we can easily notice that this is the definite article. It means that we deal with some specified information. Images is a plural noun. It's a countable noun, which is also important. A unique photographic approach. Okay, so here we can see an indefinite article, which is before a semi-vowel sound. That's why we have a, not an. Then we have wildlife. Okay, that's interesting. We have zero article. It is an uncountable noun. It's quite general, not specific. The human senses. Okay, let's have a look together. What can we say about the human senses? Okay, so we can see here, first of all, definite article there, which is used before a noun phrase. We can see that senses is a noun, which is plural, countable, and we talk about some specific senses. That's why we need article there. The last one, in the field. In this phrase, we can see there a definite article, which specifies some field. The noun is singular. The more detailed we are in our description, the more marks we can get. Now it's time to have a look at how it may look like in the booklet so that you can gain the highest mark. The images, you can see that here we write definite article with plural nouns, specific images, shared knowledge based on a text, anaphoric reference to title, images, a unique photographic approach, indefinite article with singular countable noun, first time mentioned, really important to put it here. You can gain additional mark for this. Non-specific in spite of apparent conflict with exclusive meaning, of unique, and not an, as following word doesn't begin with vowel sound, begins with a semi-vowel, as I mentioned before, y. Wildlife. Zero article with uncountable noun, general, non-specific. Don't write full sentences, it's not necessary. Bullet points are more than enough. The human senses, definite article with plural noun, specific shared knowledge, unique closed set, exophoric reference. In the field. definite article with singular countable noun, part of fixed expression, lexical chunk idiom, and could refer anaphorically to all the places and experiences mentioned in previous paragraph. As far as you can see, you have more than enough knowledge in order to approach this task in the right way. The most important thing about paper 1 task 5 is not to forget about such obvious things. Such obvious details matter and they help you get more marks. And now let's have a look at the final part D of task 5. Let's get started. We need to read the task carefully and understand what we need to comment on. Look at the following extracts from the text. Comment on the form and use of the verbs in bold. Let's have a look. We have 4 extracts from the text and we need to comment only on the verbs that we can see in bold. We can see that they have the form and use. We need to talk about only these 2 features. Let's deep dive into that. I tried to brainstorm different ideas and it may seem to be really easy. The most important thing is not to forget any detail. All right, let's have a look at the first one. Steve McCurry was on assignment. We need to comment on the form and use of was. What can we say about was? First of all, we can see that was is used in the past form, past simple form. It is irregular verb. It's the past form of the verb be. And we can see that it is used with the singular noun afterwards. So we can see on assignment. What else we can say? All right, as for the use, we can see that it is used as a part of the phrase and it is a part of the collocation, be on assignment, and it is used to set the background to the narrative. Let's have a look at the next one. The treasure he had until. We can see that had is irregular, past simple form, third person singular, main verb, as far as we can see, transitive, and we use it to express possession. Let's have a look at what we can easily come up with about was developed. The image was developed, so we need to comment only on one word was, and as we can see again, this is the irregular past form of the verb to be, and it is used with the singular noun, the image. It is a part of a passive form, was developed, and it is used to narrate series of actions in the past. And finally, she had led. It is past simple form. It is an auxiliary verb and it is a part of past perfect. But we can't say past perfect, it's not enough. We need to say it is a part of past perfect simple. That will be more specific and you will get the mark for that. And what about the use? So I would say that when you describe the use in task D, to me, it was one of the most challenging tasks and it was one of those where I had to think more. So it took me a longer time to describe the use. And here, as we can see, she had led. If you remember the use of past perfect simple, you can easily come up with an idea why and when we use the past perfect. We use the past perfect simple to refer to the action that took place before another action in the past. All right, and now let's have a look at what you need to write in the booklet. So here we go. We can see a lot of similarities with what we've just discussed. So was is irregular, past simple, third person singular, main verb, part of the lexical phrase to set the background to the narrative. As for the second one, the treasure he had until. All right, let's see. Irregular, past simple, third person singular, cannot be contracted, as we can see. Main verb, transitive, to express possession. Now we talk about the use. To narrate events in the past. So you can see that literally we have so many different things to mention about just one verb. And for each particular bullet point, you will get 1 mark. Isn't it amazing? Wonderful. And these are the things that you know like no one else because you teach it every single day. I'm pretty sure about that. And that's something what won't be difficult. The only one thing is it takes some time. As you can see, when you want to put it into the booklet, when you want to describe it in details, you need to be specific, avoid and omit any unnecessary sentences. Just make it short and simple using bullet points. All right, let's have a look at the next one. The image was developed. You can see irregular, past simple, third person singular, auxiliary verb, also a really important thing, part of passive, and is used to narrate series of action in the past. This is our use. And finally, we have another phrase, she had led. Here we go. Irregular, past simple, third person singular, full uncontracted form, auxiliary verb, and part of past perfect simple. The use is to refer to a time events before time focused on in the past. When we were discussing it before coming to this booklet answer, we mentioned almost everything. We didn't mention auxiliary verb and we didn't mention some other things like uncontracted form. And these are 2 marks that you can easily get if you mention it in your answer. All right, now I think it's the right time to understand what to start from. Let's have a look together. First of all, read the rubrics for each part carefully and ensure you comment only on the features and language areas specified. In other words, if you are not asked to talk about the students' problems, don't talk about it. If you're not asked to comment on the use, don't talk about it in your answer because you will not get any mark for that if you are not asked to talk about it. Only comment on pronunciation in sections where it is specifically mentioned. Make your answers as detailed as it is required, making as many points as possible because for each particular point you get 1 mark. Don't forget about it. Make use of precise linguistic technical terms rather than the more simplified terms you might use with students. Define all terms accurately. Make sure you spell all linguistic technical terms accurately. And make use of phonemic script as appropriate. You will not be awarded marks if this is not used or not used accurately when relevant. Write your answers in list, making use of bullets or a similar format. Okay, and now let's have a look at some comments. If you include analysis of a wide range of genres into the Delta Prep, you'll start to see that certain features are shared by various different genres because they all use specific text type or have similar purpose. For instance, biographies, novels, and news articles will all involve narrative and therefore past verbs, past forms of the verbs will be predominant there. Whereas advertisements, hotel and restaurant websites, and websites inviting membership all have a promotional purpose and may well use the personal pronouns repeatedly to try and make the reader feel personally involved. So these are the features of the genres that we need to define, though my suggestion would be if you can't comment a lot on the A part of task 5, don't waste a lot of time there. Deep dive into part B, C and D because there you have more chances to gain more marks. What you can easily notice from what we've done today. How to prepare? First of all, read grammar, discourse, lexical, phonological and genre analysis references. For this, you can watch one of my videos related to reading materials and top 5 books that I recommend in order to prepare for Delta Module 1 successfully. Read references on common learner problems with grammar, discourse, lexis and phonology. That's something what is important, especially if you don't have a lot of experience checking and providing feedback to your students, or probably even if you provide this feedback, it is not as detailed as it probably might be. Identify typical features of a variety of text genres, and that's something what you probably do when you work with your students while providing some writing activities or while reading. Use self-assess language analysis references with answer keys to practice analyzing language. In other words, pick different authentic materials and try to analyze the key features of the genre. And that's something what is more practical. Plan lessons with language focus, analyzing the language to be taught and predicting the problems learners might have with the language. Those of you who did CELTA are familiar with anticipating the problems that students might have. And that's something what I consider personally really useful useful when you keep in mind Delta Module 1 prep. Observe your learners' responses to language tasks used in the classroom and note which features of language they had problems with. This information can be easily used in order to comment on the possible problems students may have. To collect more information on the subject, it's important to consult other teachers when preparing language lessons to gain greater input on the features of the language you might usefully analyze, as well as you can ask them for the problems which their students had. The advice that I would like to share with you is, if you follow the principle of aiming for a mark a minute, you could dedicate between 40 to 50 minutes to this question. Don't waste your time trying to form your answer into complete sentences or connected paragraphs. It doesn't make sense. Bullet points will be definitely something what you need to go for, and there is a mark for each valid point you make, so use the time wisely and use your time to put down as much information as possible about each feature of language you analyze and notice. And the last but not the least, you can't know everything, but you can increase the probability of doing great in your exam by practicing, and as you know, practice makes perfect. If you want to do paper 1, task 5 in a good way and get 50 marks, you need to practice, you need to raise your awareness, and you need to notice some obvious things which will bring about positive results, and you will have a chance to get more marks. If you found this video helpful, I will be very glad if you put your thumbs up. If you want to see more videos that will help you do better in the exam, please subscribe to my channel and see you in my upcoming videos. Bye!